And as always, you should always have cooking beer to hand. Oh God, I almost a bit of this. Trust me, stand by me. Would I ever leave you astray? And that's flavour. Bone of contention about what goes into a chili con carne. Beef, although lamb and pork, I would agree. Just watch this, by the way, that's why it's wet. Lamb and pork, mince. I quite often do beef shin. It's really nice, like slow cooked as a stew, which is generally what chili is. It's a stew, and it's one of those things. The longer you cook it, the better it ends up being. Oh God, this tough onion skin. Would say definitely need onion. A lot of people say that's it. I think in Texas, like the Texas Chili Championships, where they actually do it competitively, make them competitively, they're only allowed to have onion and maybe tomato. They're not allowed beans. A lot of other stuff. I mean, some people will start a chili if they're doing it from scratch with a more like a mirepoix sort of thing, or a sofrito. Someone pulled me up on saying, "Oh, sofrito's Italian, Spanish." It is, but that's a sofrito, not a sofrito. A sofrito, the S-O-F-F-R-I-T-T-O, is same essentially as a mirepoix, French mirepoix, onions, celery, carrot. The ratios people bitch and moan about which ones should be which and whatnot, but you know, content is king. The Spanish one, sofrito, is 1F, 1T. That is onions, tomatoes and garlic, I believe. Probably wrong there. Anyway, to digress. My chili con carnes, I kind of start with a more occasion trinity sort of. Oh God, that's that right. So onions, peppers, and celery. I just like that flavour combination. I find that to be. Oh God, almost a bit of this. Yeah, so I tend to go more Cajun Trinity, which of course means I use lots of garlic. Yeah, so onion, peppers, chili con carne is one of those things that I've, over the years, tried to get down to an art form, but don't really have a recipe for it. I tend to start with the basic same sort of basic stuff: onion, pepper, celery. But from there, I mean, the only thing I never use is chili powder. Chili powder is just bland. It just adds raw spice to stuff, even then not particularly spicy spice, but it doesn't have like any sort of actual flavour. Like some chilies will be floral, some chilies will be smoky, some chilies will be or just fruity maybe, and chili powder just loses all of that. So what I do is sometimes I'll make my own chili powder. I do that semi-regularly, but I'm out at the moment. What I'll do is I'll buy dry chilies, anchos, cascabels, chipotles. I blend them all up. Oh shit, sorry. Alright, So yeah, I make my own chili pepper, chili powder. That's just, make that in bulk, put it in like a mason's jar, and then with these sort of bits, paprika, coriander seed, cumin seed, oregano. Because I haven't got the dried chilies, I'm using cayenne pepper and chipotle chili flakes. Because I haven't got dried chilies and fresh chilies as well, but I've used fresh chilies anyway. And celery. And as always, you should always have cooking beer to hand. But yeah, chili's one of those sort of things that I kind of very much do. That might be enough set. I might do half of the other one. I do very much kind of make it up as I go along. One of those sort of things you can put pretty much anything in the cupboard out of it. Courgette, yeah, sure. So as long as you get the spice blend right, you can put anything in there. I find carrot in the mirepoix. If you were using mirepoix with carrots, I find that too sweet. I'll put that over there. What am I going to use? I'm going to go with the red one and the green one. And these aren't usually that spicy, but I'm probably going to regret saying that now. I am going to de-seed them because these ones you buy from the shop, these are just generic red chilies, generic green chilies. They're usually quite nice flavour, quite fruity, and the green ones add that sort of bitter flavour that you want from a chili. But the seeds and the membrane are bloody Russian roulette. Some of them can be ridiculously hot. I mean, if you buy a jalapeno, a habanero, finger chili, a bird's eye chili, you've always kind of got a baseline. You know how hot it's going to be. It's going to be roughly this heat. With these just generic chilies, you never know what they're going to be. How spicy they're going to be, how... Right. Chilies in there. Garlic, lots of it. You've got to add the garlic as well. That's the other thing that you've got to be in the chili, if you ask me. You've got to have, doesn't necessarily need to be beef, but I would say as a basis, beef's a good shout. Onion, really can't get away without onion. And garlic. You're probably going to get away without tomato. I use tomato. I don't use a lot of tomato. What I do use instead, so some people just use tomato as all their liquid is just tomato. I use beef stock. I use a tin of crushed tomatoes and a load of beef stock. Sometimes I use beer as well. Depends what I've got to hand. I'm going to crush this garlic later with a garlic crusher. I'll nip the tips. Snip the tip. Right. Probably edited right through all that, splits that, and splits it all up. So peppers, onion, carrot. Right, beef mince I'm going with. I'm making a big old batch today as well because if if you're going to make chili, you might as well make a big batch of it, because there's loads of prep work making a big, nice. I use this big cast iron casserole dish. Cook loads of it in one go. It's always nicer the next day. It freezes well. You make chili con carne. Well, it's going to be chili con carne anyway, but chili con carne, have it with rice one day, have it in a jacket potato. I would put it with rice in a tortilla and make a kind of burrito out of it, make tacos, put it on nachos. You can do anything with it. Right, whack some heat on there. Right, first things first though, decent glug of olive oil. Right, nice and warm. So after this in to begin with, you can put it all in one go, but this next step is up forever. What you want to do is fry off all the water and brown off the mince. So when you think it's almost burning, starts to pop and yeah. I'll show you in a minute what it's like. With some salt, pepper. Because that just adds so much flavour to all of this. So go over half of it. Not quite hot enough, but it'll get there. That's the sound you want. Write that down. I'll do that though, because I'm going to need that for quite a while. Almost there for this first batch. You'll start, the sound will change. It will stop being like a fizzy boiling sound. It will start being a sizzly, fry sound. And eventually you'll start to hear the beef pop, like popcorn. And you'll get like brown kernels. It almost looks like you're burning it. It's not a situation. But you're not, trust me, developing flavour. Trust me, stand by me. Would I ever leave you astray? Probably, but you know, not in the kitchen. So yeah, don't stir it too much either, because I am stirring it too much. But you want it to try and sit and cook. Sit and almost stick a bit and char. Although you're not technically charring, it's, I don't know what you'd call it. It's controlled burning, let's just call it that. There you go, that's the kind you want. That popping. Right. While we're doing that, what we're going to do, get another pan. I'm going to toast off cumin seeds and coriander seeds. So, cumin seeds, all of them, maybe tablespoon and a half, maybe. Coriander seeds, maybe half as much. I'm not going to do the chilies in there as well. Sometimes I do, but here. But it just smokes out the. There you go. You start to see that it's starting to stick at the bottom a bit. You can scrape it up, get it up off the bottom, and that's flavour. We'll stir, sit again. If you've never toasted spices before, I said do it on their own. The best way to learn when they're done is the cumin seeds. It's not coriander seeds, but the cumin seeds will start to pop. Again, like everything, popping, everything popping. If you look, if they start to dance a little bit around the pan, you want to keep them moving because they will burn easily. But you'll smell them. They'll just make the whole kitchen smell sort of like an earthy, spicy, sort of almost sweet as well smell. And then I have got in the back of my cupboard of wonders coffee grinder. Now these type of coffee grinders that are like a liquidizer with the two blades, useless for coffee. Feels like. So this first batch is pretty much done. Nice. You start to get almost like a steaky smell in the air. The problem with this is because it is lean, you don't want to go quite as far. I would normally, if I was using 20% fat, which is what I would prefer, I would let that go a little bit longer. Develop even more browning, because it's got less fat, it will dry out more. Doesn't matter too much with mincemeat because it's going to be covered in sauce. You know, if it was making a burger, there's no way I'd go with less than 20%. But because it's going in a chili, in a sauce, we can go a little bit lower. Let's have a scratch stuck to the bottom. Doesn't matter too much. We are going to deglaze with stuff later. For now, going with the other half. Same again, break it up, dry it off. You can call it a day with just half of it if you want. It's just more and more layers of flavour. Right, anyway, a spice grinder. Yeah, useless for coffee because you don't get a consistent size of grind. If you haven't got a coffee grinder, everyone should have one of these. Because if you've got the chance of buying fresh, whole, not sort of fresh, but whole spices, and mixing them off, the flavours you can develop are so much better than by using the pre-ground stuff. Oh, it's warm in here. So I am going to go in there with chipotle chili flake, probably about almost a tablespoon. Like a jammy, sweet, smoky sort of flavour. And oregano, I'd probably say almost 2 tablespoons. I'm going to use paprika and cayenne pepper in here, but I can put them in the blitzer because they don't need to be blitzed up. Excuse the noise. So you want to make like a nice fine powder. If you do that with the fresh, dried chilies, leave the lid on it for a little while because when it's settled back down, because it's like mace, that stuff. In fact, that is what mace is. Pepper spray mace. It's aerosolized chili powder, essentially. While that's brewing off, I'm just going to get ready. Tin tomatoes. They're peeled plum tomatoes. Usually I'd use the chopped ones, but I haven't got the chopped ones. Bit of tomato paste. My puree. And I should have in here kidney beans. I also want to use beef stock. Right, I'll call it there for that batch as well. Again, I'm going to get a lot of it out. You took the vast majority of it out. It's not a science. Baking's a science, cooking's an art, as far as I'm concerned. Right, now, lower the heat a little bit. Another jug of olive oil. Throw the lid away. I'll sort that out another time. Right. In with the veg. Just down the heat a little bit. Well, I'll say medium. that are mixed around. Now what you want to do is give that bottom a scrape as well. Get some of that beef scraps up. Once the temperature's dropped a bit and it's not as crazy, round about now, going with the garlic. Oh, so bloody hot in here. It's a pokey little kitchen, but no airflow whatsoever. Looks like a lot of garlic. That's because it is a lot of garlic, but there's going to be a lot of other flavours in here as well to balance it out. Right. Now you just want to let that sweat off for 5-10 minutes, so that will break down a bit, sweat down, soften up. Right, so it's all sweated down a bit. Go back in with the beef. Mixed together, and so at this point we want to go in with our liquids. So it's easier to use crushed tinned tomatoes because you don't have to do this bit, break them all up. Oh, fuck's sake, you're not making pizza sauce or bolognese, so it's going to be ridiculously well crushed. I actually sometimes will use tin jars of salsa. 500ml of beef stock. You can also get little jars, going back to the spices and stuff, little jars of like chipotle chili paste. It's almost like chili jam as well, spicy chili jams, they work quite well in this. It's one of those sort of things, it's hard to cook up, but it's hard to make it bad, but you can make it really, really good. It's just a matter of experimenting and practicing. That's about 2 tablespoons, maybe 3, of tomato puree. This is the Ancona West Indian hot chili pepper sauce. So about 2 teaspoons of that, maybe. Smoked paprika. Two heaped teaspoons of that bad boy, and cayenne pepper. I'm going with a not so heaped teaspoon of it. Why won't that come out? That went in, why won't it come out? How is that possible? That's... what? How did that go in there and now it won't come out? Oh, there we go. Right, you know what? I'm going to transfer that again. There, that'll do. And spice powder, chili powder, spice blend stuff. What I'll do is I will put in the description and the blog post that will accompany this the recipe from my own chili powder, because it's very good and there's a lot that goes into it. There's not actually a lot, but onion powder, garlic powder, sometimes I'll put thyme in there, dried chilies if I can get my hands on, if I can get my hands on. That looks fine to me now. Because it's beef mince, cook it now for another half an hour at least, right? And then it'll be good to go. But cook it for as long as you can, as long as you want. hours and hours and hours, it'll be fine. What you might need to do though, keep an eye on it, top it up a bit, liquids. Beer works fine, more stock, just water. Oh, what we need, a little bit more salt, not a hell of a lot because we have been adding salt here and there as we go. And pepper, don't put any in yet. Grind to your arm aches. Yeah, so a lot of pepper, as is the Cajun way. If you were to be doing this with stewing beef, stewing steak, beef shin, is one of my favourite things to use actually to make this. You'd want to leave it for an hour, if not more, to properly break that meat down. With mince meat, I mean, this would 20 minutes. This will be done. 15 probably. But like I said, give it at least half an hour, and you will not regret it. Or I'll take it anywhere up to like 2 or 3 hours. And like I said, this one of those things, fridge it up. The next day, it's going to taste it even better. I mean, there are actually some proper like Texan chili recipes that the actual recipe calls for it to be fridged up, because the fridge dehydrates it, concentrates the flavours. So yeah, put that on as low as it will go. Make sure it's all straight all the sides down so nothing's sticking out. Lid her up and let her roll for an hour. I'm actually going to put it on a smaller burner. I'm going to sort all this out at some point. But yeah, come back in an hour or two. In half hour, 40 minutes maybe. A little butchers. I just realised I forgot to put a few bits in. So, balsamic vinegar adds a bit of richness and acidity. Really, you would want to put this in about half hour ago, before you let it go for the long cook. Because I've just put that in there, it will need another 20 minutes, half an hour to cook out. I was going to leave it for another, maybe even another hour, just to properly cook through. But yeah, if you wanted to eat that now, you could. That's cooked through. I'm also going to leave it partially uncovered, just to thicken up a little bit, reduce down. There you go. See how much deeper and richer that is now, colour wise. I mean, that could go for another hour if you wanted it to, but I am hungry, so I'm going to call it there. Yeah. Gosh. Like I said, brown the mince, layers of flavour. Don't use chilli powder, use a mixture of fresh and dry spices. Grind them yourself, toast them, just makes it so much better. Some people put chocolate in. I do sometimes put dark chocolate in. Now, that had a bit of more richness and volume. Well, not volume, richness and volume. Was it hair shampoo? Yeah, it does make it richer, and it can sometimes do need a bit of sweetness. I might put a bit of honey in it sometimes, just a little bit, or brown sugar. I'm about to agree with those things, but yeah. Chuck it on some rice, chuck it in a jagged potato. Robert's your mother's brother.